Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome to another video brought to you by Total Control Traders. It's been a while since you've seen me. It's been a while since I've seen you guys, and I do apologize for the lack of video from last week. Due to the market pullback that we were anticipating, decided to take the week off, just relax, take some time to myself, and get ready for what's coming, the big opportunities that's about to arrive. Whether it's here now or if it's going to be here, that is yet to be seen over next 2 days, I would say. We should be able to tell whether the opportunity is going to be arriving or if it's going to be another month-long sideways consolidation type of market. All right, so let's get into it. I do apologize in advance if there is a little bit of stuttering or lack of streamlined conversation, because I'm a little bit out of it. It's been a week, so apologize in advance. All right, so let's get right into it. First one is SPX. We're going to be focusing on SPX while the market's consolidating until further evidence of whichever index is stronger is seen. As of right now, the whole market is consolidating. The whole market, basically, regardless of what ticker you're looking at, it's going to be extremely hard to find tickers that are bullish. Not saying that there aren't any, there definitely are, but it's just going to be harder. All right, so just noticing a level here. Anyways, so SPX, here's what I'm anticipating. So we have seen let's take a look at the weekly actually. Sorry, it was monthly. Okay, so monthly one. That doesn't look right either. No, it was weekly. Right, so weekly, this was the pandemic, do I want to say crash? Pandemic pullback. Pandemic correction. Yeah, it's crash. Okay, yeah, so pandemic crash, and from here we've seen leg 1, 2, 3, and now we're potentially forming a 4. Now, as shared in, for those of you that are in our Slack chat trading group, you will know sorry, I had to pause the video there to pull this up. You will know that in our Slack chat there was no break that was taken last week. It was continuous market update regardless of what's going on. So with the market updates on our Slack, this is what I shared on, when was this, 5 days ago, so last week sometime during the consolidation. Here's what I'm looking at, potentially anticipating. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the monthly chart. We can see the one with a 2 months consolidation. It got extended and we saw it's 2 months sideways consolidation, and now we are likely finishing the leg 3 and looking at a repeat of the pattern, whether it's going to make two or 3 months of sideways / consolidating. That is to be seen, but regardless, right now the market is in bears favor. So it'll be, remember, playing with the trend. It'll be a lot easier playing bears right now versus trying to fight it and play bulls. So the way we're looking at it right now, it's first month was September. That was consolidation beginning, and second month is going to be somewhat choppy. So there's going to be bounces in there. There's going to be some decent, nice bounces in there. There's a lot of charts that are coming to the daily oversold area. So the other thing that I shared is a couple possible scenarios that I'm looking at. Which one was it? There it is. All right, so a couple possible scenarios I'm looking at. One is bullish scenario. We're gonna need to see a bounce from this. What is this? What was this trend line? Long-term trend line from pre-pandemic crash that was resistance. We saw rejection, and then became support here on the weekly chart, and now we're back testing it. So potential for a bounce. There's a couple of scenarios here. One is bullish thesis, one is bearish thesis. Bullish, of course, we're going to be bouncing to that top of a key zone before coming back down to revisit this line again before breaking over. Bearish is same thing, bounce to that area before coming back down to GP, and bottom of the key zone before an actual bounce and trend reversal, which would bring to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leg down versus the ABC on the bullish. So the way I'm seeing this is the more likely scenario is likely the bear thesis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down to the GP with the lower part of the key zone. That is a must hold that we're looking at, 4200 on SPX. Worst case scenario, keep this in mind. Worst case scenario we're looking at is going to be around 4150, which is going to be around that 0.786, lining up with the previous trend line. Let me see if I can find that trend line from back here. So we're seeing 1, 2, almost touch support here. So let's actually drag that to make it a little bit better. Somewhere along there. So we could be looking at the 0.786 also lining up with this previous resistance support. If we're looking at on the daily, not that one. Wait. Oh, it is that one. Hey, look at that. I literally just drew this line as the video started. Lines up perfectly with that 0.786. Slight resistance here, and then broke under support, chopped around, back tested as support again. So the 4150 is going to be the worst case scenario that I'm looking at least for where the big bounce is going to be. Even if on the monthly chart, remember, it's potentially going to remain choppy action like this. But what I'm looking at is, say if we get to the 0.786, what could happen is a bounce such as this one, 10% bounce kind of thing, before coming back down. So keep in mind, overall trend is still in bearish. Overall trend for the monthly, for the weekly. Actually, no, sorry, monthly is bullish. What I meant to say was overall trend for the daily is still bearish. Okay, so if you're playing the bounce, there's going to be a big bounce, a very nice bounce, juicy bounce that's coming, but just remember to take profit. It's gonna be a little bit longer before we actually start moving bullish on that daily trend again. So if we were to look at this on the monthly chart, monthly A is lining up with that GP as well at 4200. So that's triple confluence, monthly 8, GP, as well as the lower part of the key zone. That's why I'm saying this is a must hold for the bulls. Worst case scenario being that 0.786. All right, so that's SPX. And as I share the chart, let's see, today, Friday, just wanted to show you guys something quickly on Friday. Very important. One of the benefits of what TCT Slack trading chat group has to offer. That's not it. Friday. Where'd it go? Oh, okay, there we go. All right, so the message that I sent out on Friday was a relatively long message. Good morning, fam. Anticipating a bounce from the market today after GP plus key plus trend line back test and rejecting, making daily lower low as discussed, which is right here. Trend line back tested and rejected, coming back down. So this was what I was looking at for a bounce on Friday. And the Friday's bounce alone on SPX was a 2.5% bounce. So that day, if you got in, if you played the bounce based on what we had shared in the group, that alone generally should have made you your membership, your subscription back. That one single day. It's things like that, and that's just one example. It's not saying I'm always right, of course, right? But it's just an example of what you could anticipate, what you could expect for being in the group. So the other thing to talk about then, before we get into the other indexes, is 250 subscribers. Remember, that is gonna be a big giveaway, something to look out for. Thank you guys for all, again, excuse me. Thank you guys for all the support that you have been providing and watching the videos. All right, next one is NAS. So NAS, we are in a, ideally we want to hold this zone right now actually. So the way I'm looking at this, very similar idea, you know, a trend line from before, support, double support here, another support here. We broke down under, back tested before rejection and coming back down to make lower low. Now the only thing that worries me on NAS is there is no daily bull divergence. So if we look at SPX right now, there is a lower low, but there is a daily bull divergence that has formed. Yeah, there is a daily bull divergence that has formed. RSI is going higher, price action is going lower, whereas NAS price action is going lower, but RSI is not going higher. So there is no bull divergence yet. And we're not too extended on the daily either. Today's bear volume was intense. Okay, so that's a little bit worrying in the sense that NAS is potentially not looking for a bounce yet, but we are looking at this key trend line here. Confluence area. This used to be the wedge that we were tracking before. For those of you that watched the video from back in February up all the way up to April-ish, we were tracking this wedge before, and now instead I just drew it in two trend lines instead. And this trend line actually goes all the way back to June of 2020. So we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 supports here, or potentially the 6th support right now. We're gonna need to see that bounce today, tomorrow, Wednesday. We're gonna need to see that bounce from here. There is no confluence area, so that is a little bit worrying. Aside from no bullish divergence, the daily is getting to that oversold area at 30.5 RSI, so would anticipate some sort of a bounce from here. This is no longer valid. This is no longer valid either. We did get to that GP along that trend line back test, so that was a perfect play for the bears. Did share that as well in the Slack chat group. So from here, if we're to see a bounce, where will we go? Is there a confluence area if we're bouncing from here? Okay, so 0.5 somewhat makes sense. If we're to bounce put to the 0.5, this would be in that key zone where we saw rejection, a little bit of a chop around, support, another support here, another support here. So that is very key price action at 14,900-ish on NAS. It's still, regardless, it is still a little bit worrying that there is no real reason for it to give a very nice bounce from here. And that's why I'm looking at, even if we're to get a bounce from here, we could be only looking at a wick to that 0.5 before going lower. So NAS remaining bearish. Look at that RSI. Gone straight from 70 all the way to 30 in 1 month. Yeah, in 1 month time. That is ridiculous. Wow. Congrats bears that played NAS bears. Now the other thing I wanted to discuss is QQQIWM. This thing we've been tracking for quite some time, and we anticipated that there will be a rejection. Even if we make a new high, there will be a bear divergence on this QQQIWM. So this was a very foretelling sign that QQQ, aka NAS, is gonna be weaker. So from here we did break under. Now this anticipation didn't really work out. I was anticipating potentially a bounce to the back test that trend line, but NAS decided to just keep on being weaker. So from here we are gonna be anticipating weaker tech going forward due to this chart. We're gonna have to watch for a reaction around that key zone. Yeah, QQQIWM, use it as a foretelling, an indicator, what is that called? Wow, it's been so long since I did financial planning. Can't remember what they're called anymore. Front running? No. Regardless, one of those indicators that you can use as beforehand that tells you where the relation between NAS and RUS are gonna be. So next is RUS. RUS seeing relative strength. We didn't even make a daily lower low before seeing that bounce with the market, and the bounce was even more than the market. The rest of the market is SPX NAS. The bounce on Friday for RUS was 3.5%. Congrats those who played the bounce. Now for some reason, so we usually play RUS as you can tell from the website's accountability tracking. We normally play a lot of Rus, except this time we didn't play Rus. I don't know why. Now I think about it, I don't know why we didn't play Rus. This would have been an amazing bounce, even if it's like, you know, small sizing. You'd be looking at whether it's day maker, week maker, paycheck maker, month maker kind of thing. 3.5%. What an amazing move. And it was very easy to sell too. Right at that key zone. Look at that. You touch right at the key zone before it starts selling off. So anyways, gonna keep an eye on Rus going forward. If I were to pick any tickers to be playing, likely going forward would be more so Rus than NAS. If we look at this, it has been in a sideways action since January 2021. That's almost 10 months of sideways action, depending on where you start looking at it from. You could say, you know, beginning of January back here. But regardless, 10 months of sideways action. I can see Rus being relative strong comparing to the rest of the market going forward. So that is going to be one to keep an eye out for. Next is Dow. Dow is still seeing somewhat relative strength versus SPX and NAS as well. We are not making a daily lower low, not an actual close under at least. We did see a wick under before Friday's bounce. So from here, Dow and Rus would be the main focus. Dow being, I think majority of it will be probably reopening plays, which would make sense. If we look at this, you know, from, let's take a look. From pandemic low, From pandemic low to the high was almost 100% move versus if we're to look at SPX, 108. NAS is probably going to be crazy. 136. And Rus is 148. Wow. Long-term sideways cooling off, eh? That monthly 8 is caught up. Woo. Really love what Rus is doing. All right, so Dow is the other potential stronger one that we're looking at. Monthly 8 caught up as well, and we are seeing relative strength in this consolidation right now. Remember, we could wick under, so we did wick under a little bit this month so far, but we have not closed under. So even we do, give it a couple percent, give it a few percent kind of thing. All right, next we're gonna take a look at is gonna be Bitcoin, same as usual. Wow, that ABC was a lot stronger than, or weaker than anticipated. We're looking at, I was anticipating the GP, but by the looks of it, yeah, we only got to the 0.5, just under the 0.5. So ABC, we did not get to the GP. We held that key zone. We held that key support that I had marked. This key support, 48.41. The low we got to just below that key zone, but you know, just closing slightly under it. So depending on how you draw this, wow, this was an amazing entry. Now from here, one ABC. So this is ABC. We could be looking at another. See, 1, 2, BC. So if we're looking at this, I would anticipate another retest of this key zone, this GP, this key zone, and then from there we're gonna have to see if there's gonna be a bear divergence or what's going on over there. What's the reaction look like? Whether it's bear volume coming in. And remember, right now, lately, there has not been crazy volume at all. It's just the lack of bear volume. Even the bull volume is not that strong though. So on this bounce, the bull volume is not that strong. So let's take a look at HIVE. And where did my drawing go for HIVE? There we go. Okay, so HIVE, it did come down to that key zone. So if we're to see a bounce, which we are seeing right now, it could be a little bit longer. There is still potential for that. So as of anticipation from a month ago, September 8th. Has it been a month already? Wow. Doesn't look like that many candlesticks, eh? So since the anticipation from September 8th, this has worked out so far pretty on point. A little bit more choppy. Bounce. Yeah. So it's pretty on point. Nothing out of the anticipation yet. 0.5. So this, okay, this bounced 2.5. If we were to bounce to the GP, so there is another chance that we could bounce to the GP before making another leg down. There is no ABC on HIVE yet, so it's a little bit harder to read here. Okay, so this is very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A. We're gonna be watching for that B on HIVE right now. Okay, next we're gonna get into the hottest tickers. First one's gonna be Tesla. Relative strength. Look at that. Bull flag, confirmed gap up on news, and we saw a little bit of profit taking. Unfortunately, due to the market, partially due to the market. So from here, we're gonna have to see what the price action looks like over the next couple of days. But there is relative strength overall on the market consolidation. Yet Tesla is making daily higher highs. So here's daily higher high, higher low, higher high. So this wedge does not apply anymore. We are still looking at this channel. Lower trend line, middle trend line, which is also the money line, and then the upper trend line. So if we're to get over, we want to see a close over that 800. It has been very, very troublesome. We're seeing 799, and today we saw a wick over to 807. Unable to close over it. 800 is going to be key to get over. Once we get over to 800, I would anticipate that we're going to revisit the highs, if not making new highs. What does the monthly chart look like on this? Let's clean it up here. Wow, monthly bull flag confirming. Ooh, that does not look good though. So monthly way overbought here, and then bear divergence on this new high. This was, wow, this is a move. 80% on the new high. Regardless, it's bear divergence on the monthly, and instead we saw a monthly bull flag formation. Confirmation right now, but on decreasing monthly bull volume. So key to note, decreasing monthly bull volume. If we're to make a new high above 900, would anticipate some sort of pullback before it's ready for a next major move up. Let me get my drawings back. There we go. Okay, so that's Tesla. The way I see it right now, relative strength, I can see another touch of this upper trend line before rejecting. Okay, next is Mrna. So remember we talked about potential for cup and handle formation, but I did say that this was not, I wouldn't consider this a cup and handle formation anymore, because we did not see equal highs or even higher highs. I guess the other way around. We didn't see higher highs or even equal highs. Instead, we saw a lower high. So from there, we saw huge bear action coming in. Then today we are seeing a bounce from the GP. We are way overextended from a daily 8 today. Oh, that would have been a nice play today. At the GP, we opened right on that GP. Wow. So from open to close was a 5% move alone. From here to the daily 8, assuming tomorrow we're going to be dropping down more, it's still another 12%. So Mrna should be one of the top watches. So one of the most ideal oversold plays that are in right now that I'm looking at. Mrna is going to be top watch going into tomorrow and the rest of the week. And the next is RBLX. So to be honest, today was actually a little bit harder to find the hottest tickers because there's not a whole lot going on. We're just finding relative strength or those that are extremely oversold, which is like Mrna. So Tesla and RBLX is more so relative strength. We are seeing RBLX, we did make a daily lower low, but today in the bearish market, we are seeing bullish action on the RBLX. So that is very notable. There is no daily bull divergence on this chart. So a little bit more wary and we did close right on that daily 8 alongside that top of key zone. So from here, what I'm looking at is we're gonna need to see follow through tomorrow, given that market could potentially bounce tomorrow, continuation kind of thing. Remember, what we're looking at for SPX is a move upwards. So today was the chop. Tomorrow, starting tomorrow, going to the rest of the week, we should see slow move up. And if that's the case, we're gonna need to see follow through on RBLX closing over that daily 8 before seeing I'm seeing a key resistance here, 83.41, rejection, chop around, support here, rejection again here, chop around, and then rejection again here. So it's not key, but it is something to note on our BLX, the 83.41. We are seeing a lot of reaction to that. All right, next is TRUL. So same idea, in the relative bearish market, we are seeing relative strength on TRUL. Even though there's lots of upper wick, the daily trend is changed to bullish now, and we did see a back test of that previous wedge upper trend line where we saw 1, 2, multiple rejections here, another rejection here, and we saw a back test on last Thursday. So increasing bull volume today. I would imagine this is going to move alongside the market once we make new highs, a daily higher high at least. So TRUL, very notable strength, especially even out of the whole marijuana sector. Okay, that's it for the hottest tickers. Next is the requested tickers. First one we're going to cover today is thank you Naman for your support watching our video. So on POSH, multiple rejections. So this is the wedge we were tracking. Friday was a fake out. 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections. Yeah, 4 rejections on this upper trend line so far, and this is no longer valid either. This is a triple bottom. 23.13, 23.25, 23.27. Okay, so lots of lower wicks, but also some upper wicks. 23.58 is gonna be a very key price that the bull's gonna want to hold. Tomorrow, if we see further bearish action closing below 23.58, that is a major red flag. A breakout, lack of follow through, coming back down right below that daily 8 again, closing right on that key support. Multiple supports here. So 23.58, that's what I would be watching. On this chart right now, it looks like a slow bleed. Last time we got over the daily 8 got shut down again, so it could be another repeat of this. Even the candlestick on today's candlestick versus this one is somewhat similar. So watch for tomorrow's action. If we do close lower tomorrow, that would be a red flag. Next is AVPT. So I'm going to try to go over a bunch of tickers, try to find out what's good to play. So we're going to spend a little bit less time on each ticker, but instead focusing on more tickers. All right, so AVPT was anticipating bearish. You know, this the second scenario was bullish scenario, but that was not the case. We did break under that lower trend line, so there is this channel that we're in. We're gonna be watching. We are getting a little bit extended on the daily. Is it daily bull divergence? Not really. Not unless we see a bounce tomorrow. It's not gonna be a daily bull divergence. If we're to see lower prices tomorrow and closing under, that is gonna be a major red flag. All right, next is TTCF. Okay, so this one did not work out. that key support was broken. So that's where we're looking at before, you know. This key support, we closed under. A very mini bounce rejecting from the 88. That's a sign to get GTFO. Get the AF out. And then from there we saw continuous selling. Low bear pressure. Money line is coming up. Last time we did lose the money line before a nice bounce coming in. Ooh, that was a very nice bounce. 60% bounce. However, regardless, the way I'm looking at this is a lower low to higher high to lack of follow through, immediate sell off, profit taking. So there's a lot of sellers on this chart. But the other thing that I'm looking at is, you know, the two key zones. That's very easy to play off of. If we're to lose that money line, I'd be looking at the key zone for a bounce play. And this was TTCF. And let's take a look at ABNB. Airbnb is still in the daily uptrend. We did not make a daily lower low yet. Today we saw a relative strong bearish pressure. Not very much volume to back it up. And the way I'm seeing this, we did lose that short-term trend line. We needed a consolidation. GP's right under. No divergences yet. Okay, so what we could be looking at on Airbnb, there we go, that makes sense. So what we could be looking at on the Airbnb is a back test of this previous major resistance. Lots of rejections here, and then another rejection here. Well, look at that, close high of day, just ever so slightly over that resistance, and then next day gets shut down, okay? Before a huge ass move coming in, immediate back test, and now we're potentially looking at that actual back test. So if that's the case, we're not extended on the daily. Short-term support, resistance. We could just go straight down here to the 0.5, lining up with the previous support resistance. Okay, any other tickers? I'm gonna take it easy on that first video. Actually, since we took a look at Mrna, let's take a look at Pfizer. Oh, what a nice area. So this worked out. Money line, we're right on it. Ever so slightly losing it now. Did lose that GP as well. Big red flag. Today, Friday's bounce, we needed to see follow through today. Unable to see follow through, rejecting from that daily, a closing under the money line as well as the GP. First close under the GP. Very notable. Pfizer is not looking too great. Okay, next is Hood. I think it's a similar idea on Hood. Yeah, so we did break new high. We got to, let's see, so we wicked over that resistance, came back down way overselling, and upper trend line back test alongside that key zone. We're gonna need to see follow through on this bounce tomorrow. A little bit, very slightly extended from the 88. I wouldn't really call it too extended, no. So from here, what I'll be looking at is, let's see, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high. This could be the high. Ooh, this is a very bad. If this was a daily higher low, this is a very bad daily higher low because we gave almost the whole move back. So what I would anticipate on this, maybe somewhere here. Not seeing any clear levels here. Let's see if that makes sense. Wow, look at that, right on GP. So that potentially would make sense. Hood. Let's see if the market bounces tomorrow. Okay, next is Facebook, the big bears. The big bears lost the key zone, gap down, sell off. We did see a hold of that key zone at first up until last week, and then today big gap down and sell off. Huge volume. Not looking good on Facebook. Now that we've lost that zone, what's likely to happen is we could be looking at the next zone down, which lines up with GP. That's not saying that we will not see a bounce from here. I can see that us bouncing to maybe over here before coming back down. That would be a possible scenario that I'm looking at on Facebook. Alright, so that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you know anyone that could benefit from our videos, please do consider sharing our channel with them. That would be very much appreciated. We're trying to get to that 1K subscriber. One step at a time. We're looking at 250, and that will be where our first nice giveaway will be. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good night.